Okay, we started. We're live. We're here. Uh, how's everybody doing? I'm using my new. Oh, this isn't it. I'm using the new website, which I think will go live soon. Where did wait? Am I using my website? Oh, there it is. I found it. My new website. I'm excited about this website. It'll go live soon, but it's not ready yet. But it's pretty cool. You can like click on stuff. Like here is a destroyed tank. Actually, three destroyed tanks. That's pretty cool. Anyways, how we have two people here today. We have Constantine and Exit. How are you two doing?
Exit, you go first.
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, doing great as well. Excited to be here. It's gonna be an interesting session. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is great. I'm glad we have lots of people. Uh, yeah, we still have. Yeah, I still have. The Google Map is still there, and this website even has the Google Map, so you can if you like the Google Map, you can still use it. The and yeah, the normal Google Map is going to be there the whole time. So it's not going to go anywhere. It's just that this website is nice because it has history. You just go back in time as far as you want, really. Although there are bugs with some of the days have bugs because when I exported them, there were issues with the export, and I have to go back and manually fix every day that broke, which is it's this many days. That many days broke. It's not that many. It's not terrible, but it does take like 40 minutes to fix each one, so it's kind of annoying. But yeah, and we even have this new feature which adds the defensive layer. So these are the all of the Russian defensive positions, and there's going to be another version that is coming soon, which which will have all of these defensive positions will be toggleable by when the position was constructed, which would be cool. Anyways, so that's the website, and
Nice, great to see it.
yeah. So, anyways, we can kind of run through this offensive that's happened over the past 2 weeks, I guess.
Has it really been 2 weeks?
Well, it started on the 2nd, so it's in 11 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Time is like a weird parallel right now. It doesn't seem like it's linear. Time just is like spinning in this big friggin' clock.
yeah, I noticed that when I was working on some of the data for this website, because there were some issues that happened on May 25th that I had to go fix, and it felt like May 25th was yesterday, but it was actually like 3 weeks ago. it was trippy. It also feels like forever ago at the same time. It's really weird. But anyways, we can kind of watch this offensive because one thing of note is that Ukraine advanced in this area here, kind of before the offensive started. So, or maybe that was part of the offensive. Who knows? So we kind of this is like when it started, and yeah, so we kind of see Ukraine moving. So that's where we are. so so yeah, so we have the news today is that Ukraine officially liberated Makarivka. Russia tried to stop this from happening with repeated counterattacks, which did not end well for them. If we kind of go through the history here, there were a number of failed Russian attacks, like this was a T-80 BVM died right here, but this whole kind of area here, Russia lost a lot of vehicles trying to keep Makarivka. I'm not sure exactly how many vehicles, but it was a good number. We also had this position here, which is kind of in Makarivka, where they lost 3 T-80s. There was another T-80 that I just showed here, and a whole bunch more. They lost a ton of BMPs, other things. There's just a bunch. So, yeah, then like up here, they lost 2 BMPs here in the same position somehow. One of them was kind of funny. I kind of want to play the video. If I can find it. I can't find it. So anyways, so the video is basically the BMP started around in this location. There was a Russian on the top of it, and actually it's probably over here. There was a Russian on top of it, and then it started driving away, and the Russian fell off the back, which looked really painful, by the way. And then the BMP just drove up the street and hit a mine right here and exploded. So, yeah, and then they also lost a few tanks here, and it was the whole big disaster. Russia has lost a lot of vehicles in this area. That's kind of the short of it. Putin today, if you want to take his word for it, he said they've lost 50 tanks. From the words of Putin.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What do you think of that Putin statement?
I think first of all, he's not really aware of what he's talking about. I'm not saying I'm not trying to say that they were larger or smaller, but he doesn't really understand the state of what he has to be saying. So he is confusing his own propaganda, and he understands that he needs to say that, okay, we lost something, and he just probably make that number up.
Yep, that's it's possible he just made it up. I mean, I have no way of knowing. It's just interesting that the number that he decided to pull out of nowhere was so large. Like, couldn't he have lied us like a smaller number?
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. Like, considering how much they lie usually, this doesn't sound right. That, you know, if he knew the actual, like, he's so confused that he doesn't understand what is many, what is little. He's literally lost, because if you've been listening to him as well, he also said we have to create a buffer zone because we're being shelled, and this is like, you know, the most stupidest thing that you can have as a strong leader. You know, as a strong leader, this thing should not happen. You should not just, you know, laugh and smile when you talk about something like this. It's like, imagine if even if you buy their propaganda, even if you listen to them, and it would be something that they're superpower, and there's this puny little Ukraine on their border, and now it turns out it destroys their cities, and they cannot do anything. You know, suddenly it comes to his mind that they have to create the buffer zone. Like, dude, you're at war for 1.5 years. You gotta have this all, like, things like this. This is nothing super surprising that you go to a war and the country fights back and shoots back at you. So, and he's like, oh, we have to create a buffer zone. Well, you're an idiot. You know, you had those plans had to be launched automatically. You know, if there would be an okay country, and that buffer zone must have been created like automatically, and if not, you should be, you know, considering something close to resigning. So he's a confused old man right now, but he still has a lot of power.
Yeah, it's he made another. Yeah, it's unfortunate. He made another statement today threatening the grain deal. So exit. What do you think of this one? He wants to kill it now, apparently.
Well, so I read through like 70% of that meeting. I'm going to post it in my thread tonight, but I would say he's like just completely uninformed about what's actually happening. When you read through everything, he's either senile, like Constantine basically said, or he's like just completely uninformed and nobody is really telling him what's actually going on. His his description of what happened to the ship that was supposedly guarding the Turk Stream pipeline, we don't really know how true that is because nobody else has really commented on it. Like Ukraine hasn't put out any statement on it. He said that 4 USVs attacked the ship and that the ship took out 3 of them and then destroyed the 4th later. And then he said that another attack of 4 USVs subsequently attacked the ship and it took all of those out as well. I don't know how accurate that is, but he did note specifically that the US plane was up watching as that happened, which I thought was kind of interesting that he specified that. Before all of that part about the ship, though, he specifically talks about all of the Ukrainian industries that have been destroyed because of the war, and that he has basically destroyed them by either taking out the plants or stopping exports altogether, which I thought was kind of really interesting. The question that was asked when it came up, it was actually at the very end of this press conference that he had. He apparently, and I don't know exactly, I haven't watched the video, I only read the context of it and his actual speech. They did a transcript of it. But it sounds, even from reading it, like he wasn't really expecting somebody to ask him about the grain deal. And I mean, Russia saying that they're going to pull out of the grain deal literally happens every day or 3 days at least, and that it's been that way for months. So I don't give a whole bunch of context to it because it's just a kind of a constant thing. And to be quite frank, at this point, if they pulled out of the grain deal, great, because we're kind of to the point where they're not cooperating anyways, and like they're doing maybe 2 inspections a day on a good day, which is just like compared to 46 the last time they pulled out of the grain deal. So honestly, if Russia pulled out, it would be better because Ukraine and Turkey and the UN could keep operating the grain deal. Just yesterday, we found out that the war risk compensation for the grain deal, actually, which was like approved by it's a procedure approved by the cabinet. It's actually law now. So they have the ability to compensate people if Russia actually did attack one of the commercial ships leaving Odessa. So they're kind of set up for Russia to leave in the best way that they possibly could be. And I would not be mad about it. Let's put it that way.
So what do you think? What do you think they stay in this deal? They keep staying there.
Why do I think Russia does?
Yep.
He said in his comments, he specifically said because his friends and allies in Africa and Latin America really need the grain that gets exported out of the deal. That's not entirely accurate. I can double check, but I don't.
But that's one of the things still, right? They really they do depend on it.
Well, Africa does, but not as much as Asia and China do. China takes a huge amount of the grain out of the grain deal. I'm trying to just double check, but I don't remember a single Latin American country that actually has taken any of the grain from the grain deal. Just looking through, yeah, I don't think so. I will triple check that tonight and correct myself in my thread if I'm wrong, but I don't think so. So like him saying that it's Africa and Latin America that it's really important to. I mean, the grain deal does make sure that prices across the world for grain are lower. So that's a benefit, but it's not like Brazil, for instance, directly exports any of the or imports any of the Ukrainian grain. So it's all like bluster from him. It's not like nothing that he said was overly accurate. Again, I think he's just really not all that informed.
Gotcha. Yeah, and this goes along right with what we said. He really he's not informed. Like with the tanks as well. He can appears to be like lost, generally of what's going on. This may be a result. There was an article, I don't remember which exactly media outlet wrote about it, but that he's not interested in the war anymore. He does not accept the bad news. He just tries to stay away out of it and just like sometimes like a child, when things go bad, you just do nothing and hope that everything turns out okay in the morning. So I have a feeling that he's pretty close to this.
That's what it feels like to me too. I totally agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot going wrong with him right now, just politically. He might just be so stressed that he obviously doesn't want to deal with it anymore. But anyways, this good news. This part of Russia apparently became Ukrainian in the past few minutes. I don't know why this part of Russia keeps like disappearing. It's like a bug. I need to work on that. But anyway, Ukraine advanced all the way to Moscow in the past few minutes.
Or don't work on it and just tell the Ukrainian government, hey, you guys, can you match the map?
Anyways, so yeah, that is the Putin news, I guess. I don't really have anything else to add about Putin, other than the photograph of War Gonzo wearing his baseball hat while talking to Putin was pretty funny. But other than that,
someone said, I read in the Twitter in Ukraine, I think it was Ukrainian Twitter, said give him this like a bar to pull out nails out of the wood and take that hat off of him because it appears to be nailed in with a hammer.
Yeah, it blows my mind that you would wear a hat to an important meeting with Putin. But there you go. That he has to sell us merch somehow, I guess. Anyways,
it blows my mind that he's having like a full-on press conference / meeting with a whole bunch of social media
yes,
for lack of a better term. Like that's just bananas on its own.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. And then he is pretending that he's never heard the questions before.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
That is a great question. I've never been asked it before. Let me think. I've never even considered this problem.
Well, I will tell you this, that even though it's staged, if he right now is wants to be abstracted from what's going on, he actually maybe because he considered himself to be like really the smart dude who's gonna figure everything out on his own. He can do live conferences, he can trick everyone, play everyone. So it's more like his staff saying, okay, let's ask him the easiest questions and let's he's not gonna practice, he's not gonna listen to them before, but we gotta make sure that those questions are really easy for him to handle, so he can feel like a star, basically.
Yep, I'm pulling up this image of of War Gonzo because I just want to share it because it's just so funny to me. Here he is. There he is. He looks like a homeless guy, just sitting there talking to Putin.
Like a farmer who's been out in his field for about 3 days straight and not slept. Like it's bad.
Anyway, so uh, getting back to things, I guess.
Serious things.
Yeah. So with people asking about the what's going on in this offensive. So let's talk about it a little bit, I guess. Um, there's there's one thing that people keep asking is Rifnapil still in Russian control? Yes, it is. It's still in Russian control. In fact, the Ukrainians today released a pretty snarky comment about it. They said to everybody on the internet who said that we captured this town already, you are welcome to come capture it yourself if you think we're going too slow. So that was kind of their snarky comment. But yeah, so Rivnapil is still in Russian control. It's pretty firmly. It's Ukraine is attacking from the north and the northwest, and it's I didn't want to draw tons of arrows, but they're basically they're just moving all this way. I'll draw it this way. They're just kind of going like this. They're going all like that. So um, they haven't really made that much progress. There was some talk that unconfirmed, but there was some talk that they kind of moved this way. They had some progress that way, but that's unconfirmed. I'm gonna go to Google Map for a sec. So this town here is kind of the next fortified town other than Rivnapil. Ukraine has not taken the town. I don't think they've even reached the outskirts, but there is some talk that they got closer to the town. Not really sure how to map that, but other than that, Rivnapil is still in Russian control. Um, Makarivka is in Ukrainian control. Staromayorsky is in mostly Russian control, but I think part of it is contested, and the same with Eurozhiny. So now coming down here to Staro Mlinivka. Anyway, I have no idea how to say this name. Constantine, can you help me? Because I've been trying to figure out how to say this name for a while, and I have no idea.
Give me
how to say it.
1 second. Can you zoom in because I'm not. I spent the last 2 minutes trying to program something. 1 second.
Here we go. This one.
Staromlinivka. It's Staromlinivka. Staromlinivka.
Mli. Okay, got it. Okay, so Staromlinivka. This is kind
Nice.
of the big town
got
that we're going for. It's currently getting shelled by Ukrainians. The shelling that I marked today, these 3 shelling markers are 2 of them are located by satellite, and the other was a drone video. So these 3 markers are exact markers. It's exactly where Ukraine is shelling, for better or worse. So anyway, so this town is really what Ukraine is going for at the moment. So I have
Sorry, how wide is that river? Because it looks like they're just going to have to keep crossing and uncrossing it repeatedly.
it's pretty small. It's not a huge river. I believe it is a little bit more dry than it is now than when this image was taken.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there are wider points, but there are also skinnier points. There are points where you can ford the river. Not necessarily everywhere. Like here, for example, you could probably ford that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of potential crossing points, and I'm sure those crossing points, obviously Russia knows them all. So
Right.
so this river is kind of an issue. Now we can look at the 3D look at this, because in 3D it kind of tells you a little bit more. And I have the vertical axis set to 300%, so everything is 3 times taller than in real life. So, but it's just to help us see. So there's a hill to the west that Russia is really kind of defending this high ground, and this river valley. I don't know what to call it. I guess it's technically a river valley. But anyways, the this river is the low ground, obviously. So the high ground is about 30 to 50 meters taller than the low ground. Probably around 30 on average, which is it's enough to get an advantage, a height advantage. Not super serious, but yeah, this is the town we're going for right now. The fields to the east are defended. Not, I don't think they're super heavily defended, but you can't really cross them because of it's been raining and muddy. Whereas there is this highway that goes all the way down along this river, basically from Veliki Novosilka all the way down. That Ukraine has been using this highway to attack, but they've been stopped in Urozhainy. So yeah, that's kind of
If you were on the hills on the left-hand side of the screen,
yeah.
would the highway be within artillery range? Because I don't know these things.
Easily. It's like almost in like rifle range. It's like not that far. It's 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers. You could that's ATGMs, tanks can shoot that far. ATGMs can shoot that far. Yeah, it's mortars can easily shoot that far. Artillery can shoot that. So yeah, this is these hills are basically everything is in range of this highway.
That's rough.
Yeah, the one advantage that Ukraine has is the superior technology. They have leopards. I think these guys have leopards. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure actually. But anyways, so a leopard would give you an advantage because you'd have a longer range gun that you could fire on the move more accurately using its ballistic computer. So that would be an advantage. I actually don't know if you guys have leopards. They've been largely fighting with lighter vehicles, trying to move quickly and attack quickly. They've also made a lot of use of drones. So I was showing a lot of these destroyed tanks and stuff. Those are all destroyed of drones. They're using the FPV drones to suicide bomb them. So Rivnapil is on the high ground, sort of. So kind of all of these other towns are also on the high ground. So Rivnapil doesn't have a height advantage compared to these other towns near it. But relative to this valley, Rivnapil is on the high ground. So yeah, this is kind of the situation here. Now the terrain isn't super important for what's going on, but it is nice to know. So behind I'm gonna go to the other map so it's easier to see. Behind these towns, you have this line of fortifications, which you kind of have fortifications here, and it goes like that. So yeah, and then I think there's also like another line here. So this is kind of the fortifications that Ukraine is going to be going up against after they get through I forgot to say it already.
Staromlinivka.
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm useful here, man.
Yeah. Staromlinivka. Okay. Anyway, so that. But anyway, the lines of defense and the terrain, neither of them are interesting to me. What's interesting to me is how Russia is choosing to defend. They're defending with a mobile defense. So I kind of felt this was going to come. That they weren't going to do a defense in depth. They weren't going to fall back. That they were going to instead try to like counterattack and fight in the field, basically, not in the trenches. That's kind of what I thought Russia would do, and I'm pleasantly surprised. But anyway, Constantine, do you have any opinion on this kind of like mobile defense they're doing? Because they're counterattacking everywhere. They're counterattacking every town that Ukraine captures or enters. Russia is pushing tons of infantry into, trying to take it back. Not just infantry, also tons of armor, tons of BMPs, tons of tanks. They are using a lot of armor to hold these towns. They're losing tons of pieces. I don't know how many exactly. I've heard estimates up to 40 in just these like three towns that they've lost. Not all tanks. Some of them are MTLBs and lesser vehicles like that. But I've heard up to 40 vehicles lost, and they are not really wanting to fall back to these so-called prepared positions. They want to stay and fight. So what do you make of this, Constantine?
Well, there are two things that, of course, we must consider here. It's hard to be definitive because only a commander that is on the ground and actually knows his resources and his capabilities and his reserves can give you a definitive right. And even then, it may be a wrong answer. But there are two things to consider. One of them is how many reserves does they have? If they have like completely fresh forces that have stocked armor, they have enough to replenish. They have reserves coming in from other places as well, and he feels comfortable. So it would be like a strategic stuff for him, for any commander that defended. Well, it would be a great if you take it back. Well, then you can come back to Putin with some really good news. Like, okay, they tried here. We did this mobile defense, we pulled back, and then we hit them so hard that they ran away. So, and he's like, oh, you're going to be my new general. So it's quite political. And of course, from standpoint of defending, it's also great. You lost no ground. However, this is what Ukraine wants. This is exactly what Ukraine wants. Because first of all, they don't know how much resources Ukraine has. And even if they have in reserves, and even if they know how much resources are stacked behind behind the lines and how much reserves Ukraine has right now, you don't know how much reserves the United States can give. Like, for example, we've seen this 15 Bradleys given to Ukraine like easily, and it's for United States given. They can give 500 more, and they will not. Well, they will notice, but it's not going to be a huge issue for them. To be honest, also same goes. They have strikers. They have tons of other vehicles, but they don't know that. So for them, it's quite a gamble. But for Ukraine, this is actually good. Ukraine does want to engage with them. We don't want that. We've seen the column of destroyed Bradleys, right? And the reason for that is mostly the mines, because when you cross in the minefield, you lose all your advantages of the modern vehicles, of the Western vehicles, which are like they're more accurate, they have better sights, they have better communication systems. But it all doesn't matter if you strike a landmine and you lose the track. So this is the advantage that Russians have right now. They have those mines there, so for them it would be more. I would think, unless they have really limited resources, for them it would be more logical to pull back a bit and come lose even more on the mines, right? And then we will engage once again. But this is what Ukraine wants, because our vehicles are more United States provided vehicles, like Leopards, like Bradleys, like Strikers that have not yet gone in. They are more capable. They are more mobile. They are more predictable. That is one of the most things that people also forget. That the predictability. I mean, it's gonna. If you have a Bradley and it's maintained, it's gonna start in the morning without any problem. You cannot say the same with the. Regarding the back BMP2s and other equipment, it's not that, it breaks much more. So Ukraine wants to engage in those vehicle-to-vehicle fights, where armor goes against armor, where infantry, which we have a bit, I would say that our infantry is more prepared, more motivated. So I would suggest that we want this engagement. We don't want take this village and then like look at the map and say, okay, we have to cross another minefield. We want as much engagement as we can without crossing those minefields. And if Russia manages to lose, not manages, if Russia loses enough resources on those on these on this town in these towns that we have captured, this for us it means more. It's an advantage to us because we don't want to fight we don't want to cross next layer of minefields without when enemy is not exhausted. So this is how I see it, and so it's good. I would say it's good for us, but also since we don't have actual. We don't know exactly Russian reserve, so it's hard to be absolutely definitive here. I hope our general staff has the intelligence on Russian reserves.
Yeah, I have a theory on what's happening here that I might be wrong. Okay, so I just want to preface that it's just an idea that I have. But do you if Russia pulls back, and I'm gonna turn back this and I'm gonna draw some stuff. Okay, so say we have all of these lines. I'm gonna draw it in a different color. Say we have these lines, right? These lines of defense that Russia has constructed. They go pretty deep. There's a lot of them. They're well constructed in theory. They have these like circles around these major cities. All these heavy defenses that they've built. Now, Russia has limited infantry, right? So they have maybe 300,000 or 400,000 infantry or not necessarily infantry, but 300,000 or 400,000 men that they could throw into combat, from what I can tell, and the rest of their men are all rear people, like logistics and people who run the trains and all those sorts of people. So they have like 300,000 or 400,000 people that they can throw into combat, and of them, a fraction of them are infantry, and another fraction are tanker people, and then another fraction are like artillery or whatever. So you break that up even more. So if Ukraine starts penetrating and they start going anywhere, it doesn't even matter where, say if they penetrate here, the Russian line gets significantly longer, right? So their limited infantry gets spread out more and more and more as Ukraine penetrates their outer defenses, right? So if Russia is afraid that it doesn't have enough infantry, then if they think that if Ukraine penetrates them, and say Ukraine go I'm drawing a different color so it doesn't say that they say that Ukraine I changed color and I didn't change color. Okay. Say that they go kind of like this, they penetrate the front line and they get to the second line, right? So now Russia would have to put all their infantry like this, right? And defend all of this territory around that, trying to block Ukraine from continuing to go and breaking through, right? To beyond that second line or whatever. So if this were to happen, then Russia, they might have the infantry to man all this territory, but they are running really short on tanks. Right now, and not even not only tanks, but just armor. They're running really short on armor. They don't have in these reserves, the reserves that they're keeping, like back here. They don't have enough armor for these to man these reserves according to their military doctrine. They're very short on armor. They're more like light infantry in reserve. So if these reserves are very low on armor, and you have to use them to plug all the holes on the line because the line is getting so long, that could spell a disaster that Russia may not be able to bounce back from. So what do you think of that, Constantine?
So I don't know. I don't know, to be honest, Russian reserves. It's I want to hear that it's trash. They don't have much, but we don't know exactly. I don't know, at least. From what I see, yeah, they don't have much, but I don't want to be the oracle that is.
I'm not commenting on the quality of the troops. Like I'm sure their reserves are the same quality as the rest of their army, for better or worse. I'm not commenting on that. I'm only commenting on I don't think they have that much armor. How much armor isn't it like one tank for like every 20 guys or something? Isn't that like the normal doctrine?
No, it's
What's
usually.
What's their doctrine? How much armor would you say is for each individual guy?
Well, there is tank. There is they have a tank army that is focused on tanks. They have but it generally, I would say you want like one armor piece per 20 people. That's what you want usually. I would say, but not tank. So if
just armor,
maybe BMP or anything. So yeah, but if we're talking about tank, it's more like a 1 to 100. That's what you probably maybe less, but not 1 to 20. 120 is too fancy. 1 to 20 is too fancy for tanks. 1 to 20 for BMP or for BTR. That's true. That's really good ratio. But I don't think they have. I don't think they're anywhere close to this.
Yeah, that's my point. Is that they're nowhere close to that. Like they.
I mean, it may be on the paper, because they pulled out T-55s, they pulled out T-62s, they pulled out some, older BMP ones, etc. But that equipment, you don't know their state. So on the paper, it may be quite those numbers, and they think the general, some idiot general that have not been on the ground, he thinks, I have all this massive forces, but then he says, okay, he gives an order to send reinforcements, and instead of 20 BMPs, you have only 7 arriving because 13 were broken, stolen, or just malfunctioning. I know, like at the beginning, remember there was a story when someone they had 2 tanks, and one of the dudes saying, I never shot anyone, and our guys told him like, well, everyone says that, and he said, no, I can prove it. My tank doesn't shoot when it's broken. And there is another dude and he explained, like, we had one tank that could drive and another one tank that could shoot, so they were like pulling each other.
It's pretty bad.
So yeah. So I mean, it sounds funny, but yeah, that's what I think maybe in the reality, because we in Ukraine we suffer those things as well, and this is why Western kit helps a lot. It's more predictable than the Soviet one.
Yeah. So anyways, kind of getting back to my point here is that if Russia is afraid of this sort of situation where their line is getting longer and longer, and they have to plug the holes, and you have to plug it with infantry, you have to plug it with tanks and with artillery. I kind of think they have enough artillery to plug the holes, so not really worried about that. They might have enough infantry, not really sure, but let's just assume they do. But I do not think they have enough tanks or any armor, BMPs, MTLBs, any armor. I don't think they have enough to plug these holes. So what would you do if you were afraid of this happening? So I think if you were afraid of this, then you would want to stop your enemy from getting to the point where they can penetrate you, right? So you would want to meet them in combat. I think that's what they're doing. I think that's the idea here is that they're actually afraid of using these defenses that they've built. That's what I think.
Oh, well, we will see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a point. You have a point there, definitely.
Okay. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to talk about next. We have
What's up in Bakhmut? Do you know?
what's up in Bakhmut.
Yep.
Okay.
Or
Berhivka.
you wanted to go like clockwise? Or...
No. I was just scrolling through to see if we had any questions. But if you want to go to Bakhmut, yeah, sure, whatever. My deep breath is trying to. Okay, so what happened recently in Bakhmut is that Russia went on a big counterattack in Berhivka, and they tried really hard to take full control of the town, which I'm not sure if they did. It might be in their control. I just haven't really changed the map. But really what they're trying to do is take full control of the town and push Ukraine back because they were too close and it was making them very sad. So that was their whole goal. They went on a multi-day like a counteroffensive here. I think it was like 3 or 4 days long. They took from all the reports I've seen, they took really bad casualties. They had a bunch of guys got captured during these attacks, and it was a complete failure. And that counterattack has since stopped from what I've heard. But what this counterattack did is that it stabilized the line here. It made Ukraine go on the defensive. And I'm not 100% sure about this area here. I'm not sure what is going on here. But other than that, it mostly stabilized. So now Ukraine is kind of back into the attacking phase. So after this Russian attack failed, Ukraine is now attacking. They say they've made some progress. I heard the other day they moved one trench line. I heard today they may have moved another trench line. So we're talking maybe 50 to 100 meters a day of progress. Not super exciting, but it is slow progress.
Well, I want to add something. Like this is not as slow as people think. You know, it's moving. That's the idea. Russia is taking losses. The bad is like, I would say it's bad when it's moving and you're taking huge losses. That's really bad. As long as it's moving slowly but moves steadily without too much attrition on the Ukrainian side, it's not bad. So I will since you've been probably watching this, you probably know something about the attrition rate, how much losses Ukraine suffers here. Of course, we do suffer some losses. It's obvious, but
from what I understand, it's pretty low. That's all. All that I've heard is that the people there are like pretty positive. Like they're kind of excited to be attacking for once because a lot of these guys they're like just sitting in Bakhmut getting attacked constantly, and now they're attacking, and it makes them kind of feel better. So I see just a lot of optimism, and that makes me think they're not taking a lot of casualties. I haven't seen anyone mention a stat, but the optimism makes me think that it's low.
And it's mostly they're done by the Azov, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think so. Yeah, I know that they took some casualties clearing this area right here. so many like little dots all over the place. I'm gonna delete some of my dots. So anyways, attacking kind of this area, they took some casualties. I think they lost 2 tanks and some infantry. The weird part is that the tanks were killed when they were leaving, not when they were attacking. So that was kind of weird. I don't know. I guess that happens sometimes. But yeah, moving up here, closer to Berhivka, Russia really heavily shells here and here. This reservoir is empty. This reservoir is empty because the dam blew up a long time ago. So there's very little water. All the water is like there, and Ukraine might be in this position here. I'm not entirely sure. It's possible they moved there and then were kicked out by the counterattack, but I'm not entirely sure on that part. But yeah, this Berhivka part, it's starting to kind of activate again after that Russian counterattack, because they really threw a lot of people into this counterattack. It was like actually a pretty significant event. They took all of their resources from what's it called, Pereskovivka, and threw them into Berhivka, and were trying to stabilize the whole situation. That was kind of their goal. Now this intersection here, this intersection is very important to Russia. I don't know how important it is, like on a military level, because obviously it's a crossroads, so that's valuable. But on like a morale level, it's like really important to them. Like it's like I think if they lost that intersection, it would be a bigger blow to their morale than whatever military impact it would have. It would really make them sad. So that's kind of all I know about the Berhivka area. In Bakhmut, I don't really know of any changes. There's Ukraine has been really heavily shelling this area of Bakhmut, and there have been a few videos coming out about that. In addition, Ukraine kind of operates here. Not really sure what's going on there, though. But anyway, so down towards Klishivka, today, Ukraine apparently made a big advance here, but I could not find any information on what this advance was, or like where it was, how much it was. Well, I mean, there's rumors about how much it was, but I couldn't find anything about where it was or what anything. If I were to guess, I would guess it would be there. But that's really just a complete guess. So I'm not really sure.
Or no, that's just the hill is the like square part right below that, right?
Yes. So these trenches are basically
Right.
guarding the hill. So like
Yeah.
like that's the hill. Yeah. So this position here, or these two positions really, there's this forest here and kind of this thing here. These are two positions that I imagine Ukraine has been attacking because they very recently captured this position. So moving in either direction would be illogical, but I just don't know. I don't. There's like they said that they captured a significant Russian position today, or yesterday, or whenever it was. But there's just no details, so there's not really much I can say about it. It's all just speculation. I mean, it's possible that they moved along this tree line here too, or it's possible that this could be the position, because this box thing here, I have no idea what this is, but it's a fort now, basically. But this is a significant Russian position. It's also possible Ukraine already captured this because they said they captured an important position a few days ago. It's really hard to... there's a real information blackout, and also it's been cloudy, so you can't look at satellites. So it's kind of brutal to talk about this
How
kind of
many?
stuff.
Like that section of trees up at the top there that you first mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of that is actually still treed versus just sticks standing out of the ground?
I think there's still some trees there. We'll bring up the satellite. We could look together. I think there's still trees there though. I think it's still okay. I'll go back to when it was sunny on the 7th. 7th was actually a long time ago, wasn't it? It was a week ago. But yeah, here. Where am I? Okay. Yeah, it's still, there's still trees. Look at that. It's green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this is the position that Ukraine captured just a little while ago. I think it was on like the 5th they captured this. So and then Russia went on like a counteroffensive, and there was never any details on where that counteroffensive was, but I think it was here. So but it's been so cloudy, you can't like there's no satellite imagery and there's no videos and nobody's like giving details, so it's really difficult. But yeah, this is kind of just because this is the most recent position Ukraine captured. This is why I assume there's action coming here, but it could also be here. So you can see this is kind of a hellscape right here.
Yeah, but imagine like how much information you've had to take in even with the blackout. We'd just find you in a puddle on the floor somewhere if there wasn't a blackout right now.
Maybe.
That's funny.
Yeah, and we also there's evidence that and again this was on the 7th. There's evidence that Ukraine moved up to this position too. I mean, when we get our next satellite imagery, I mean, it's possible Ukraine could be like all of this position could be heavily shelled for all I know. Like Ukraine could move all over the place down here. There's basically never news about this. This scorch mark over here was a toss, the thermobaric launcher. I don't know what this was. It could have also been a toss. I'm not really sure, but it's really messed up. And there's this big fire which brand new on the 7th. So if I go to the 5th or the 2nd, I guess, because you see that like Latos hadn't shot yet, and this hasn't been on fire yet. This was still shot a little bit. So this was all these explosions over here all happened, I think, on the 5th or the 6th. So that was about a week ago. But yeah, we have no satellite footage since then.
Burn mark, considering how much rain they've had and how wet it's been there. Like I'm surprised that it burned that much.
Yeah. Well, I think that the toss burns at like what, like it's really hot. Isn't it like 2,000 degrees or something?
I meant the black part just above
Yeah.
toss.
Yeah.
Like
this might also be a toss. I really don't know what caused it.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of that. Oops, wrong button. Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of the Klashivka area. There's a lot of like rumors, but no like stats. You know, there's no proof of anything, etc., etc. So, Russia is attacking towards Bilohora. This position here was captured by Ukraine last week on the 7th or the 6th, and Russia is trying to take it back, but they've had no progress. And in Avdiivka, Russia is trying to attack towards Avdiivka with no progress. They've been heavily shelling this little area of Avdiivka right here with no. I mean, I don't know why. They're just really heavily shelling it. I don't really have much else to say about it. And yeah, that's kind of and they're attacking in Marinka too. So that's kind of like all the news that I got. There's One last kind of point, I guess. Russia is attacking Vasily. I don't know why. I don't know why they're even bothering, and they're attacking Rostolivka. This area south of Rostolivka was all maybe captured by Ukraine, or maybe it's a gray area. I have it mapped as a gray area, so I think Russia's trying to take this ground back. But I'm not really sure what's happening in Vasily. But yeah, that's and there are rumors that Ukraine captured ground around Dibrova, but the grounds that people said that they captured was ground that they already controlled, so it's confusing to me. So yeah, that's kind of the military news that I got. I don't know if you guys have anything to say. Could
I don't.
talk about. Oh, we have your video. Your video, if it lets me download it. I think it should now.
No movement up in Kharkiv. Ooh.
Yeah, this is a video of Novoselivska, right, Constantine?
Yes.
Novoselivska. This is a town that was pretty heavily destroyed last year. What would you say that was? Like September and October? Was that around the time?
October, yeah.
So this
Middle of October.
this town was heavily destroyed at that point. Ukraine liberated it. I can't remember what day it was. I think I have it marked so I can.
It was in January.
Yeah, January 16th.
I think a bit earlier, but yeah, something similar.
That's the day I learned about it. So this is the video of it now. Constantine posted a video a while ago of the damage to this town in, when was that, like November or something?
Yep.
And this is kind of the update of how much damage it suffered since November. Because in November, it was basically destroyed, and now it's somehow even more destroyed.
They're really worth it.
What's that?
No, that was my daughter. Came out
Okay.
to ask if there are news in Ukraine. She asked me.
Okay. Yeah. So this is this is a lot of destruction. A lot of destruction.
Yeah, it like in when I posted the video back half a year ago, it was destroyed, and I was like, "Man, this is so bad," and now this is even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing in life. Imagine the infantry that goes there every day and sits in those. I don't even know what.
This is like
They're
Marinka.
just
It's like Marinka level destruction. Just
Yeah.
that Marinka's bigger. Yeah. So this is the train station. So so it's like starting here, I guess, and flying this way. So it's flying basically west towards
West,
you know towards the Ukrainian line. So it's like starting in the Ukrainian territory at the edge, and then flying west from there. Actually, I don't even know where the Ukrainian front line is anymore. Like it's been so long. Like I haven't updated this. It's like January 16th was the last time I had news of an update here. I'm assuming Ukraine has moved a lot since then, but I just don't know. But yeah, that's that. I think it's a depressing video, but it's interesting to look at. Now, if we I remember a while ago we were looking at video of Russian positions here, and I remember this exact area where Russians had trenches and stuff here, and we were watching like them run around. Remember in the thermals? I remember those videos.
Yeah,
and then,
I remember.
and they're running around in these forests up here too. I think they like ran up this path into the forest. I think that's what the video was.
Yeah, they were taking positions there.
That was like, I think that was the first stream that we had that we had that video. So
Yeah.
anyway. So yeah, the news about the area up here, not really. Well, I know that Ukraine has been firing a lot more artillery. They have more ammo to work with. They fire more missions per day. Apparently, they've been saying that they've been destroying a lot of Russian equipment. Not so sure on the exact numbers. I know they published a video destroying a tank. They've destroyed some howitzers and stuff too. Not sure on the exact numbers. I've heard that there have been a little bit more activity around Masutivka and Liman Pershi. I don't know if the front line has changed in any meaningful way. I mean, obviously, if I did know, I would have changed the front line, but I don't think anything's really been happening so much. It seems more that they might be preparing for something that could happen in the future, but yeah, it's just not much to talk about in this whole kind of northern area. It's just yeah, it's kind of a Ukraine is a kind of a black hole for information right now. There's just not much, except for in the south. And in the south, like all the info is coming from Russians mostly. So yeah. So that's that. I think that's the stream.
Yep. Thank you for coming. I think it was pretty fast and informative. So
Yep.
thanks
it
for
was
having us.
over an hour. Not bad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming, Exit.
I'm glad to be here. This is awesome. I get to learn stuff that I don't normally get to learn.
Yeah, it's nice having you. You ask good questions, and you talked about your specialty, your grain.
Migraine,
And
not migraine.
yeah, and Constantine, thank you for coming, and thank you for everyone who came and listened. We'll be back. I mean, I'll be back on Friday. I don't know if Constantine can make it on Friday, or if Exit, but I'll be back on Friday, and maybe with somebody else. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't planned that far ahead yet. So yeah. So